Welcome to Global Britain, where Ukrainian refugees are turned away at our borders, our Afghan allies are abandoned to Taliban hit squads, and the Foreign Secretary is more interested in chasing Instagram clout than doing anything about either. I've just come back from Ukraine's border with Poland. We spent a week there, and on my return to England's green and pleasant land, I was greeted by the following story on the Daily Mirror's front page. The UK has so far granted just 50 visas to Ukrainian refugees fleeing the Russian invasion and corresponding war crimes. By way of contrast, Poland has so far accepted 500,000. Poland has accepted 10,000 times more refugees than us. I watched these women and children, and that's what they mostly are, because their husbands and fathers have been conscripted into Ukraine's armed forces, arrive to a swell of compassion. Bilingual volunteers offering translation services, free amateur taxi services operating across Poland and sometimes across Europe to bring the vulnerable to safe refuge. The UK has issued 50 visas. An endless supply of food, water, medicine, clothing and children's toys donated. Poland's government is passing laws to allow Ukrainians to enter the workforce. The UK has issued 50 visas. I met a family, 3 generations of Ukrainian women, in the home of a stranger who'd opened their doors to accommodate those with nowhere to go. They had known each other for 3 days. They were already friends for life. The UK has issued 50 visas. In the space of a week, 1.5 million people have been displaced by the Russian invasion. That's more than the entirety of 2015, when 1.3 million refugees like Alan Kurdi from Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan and Eastern Europe tried to enter the EU. The increasing numbers mean that this refugee crisis will soon be the largest in Europe since the Second World War. The British government's response is to turn Ukrainian refugees arriving at Calais away. It is a disgrace. If it wasn't already, it should now be obvious what post-Brexit global Britain really means. We've sanctioned fewer oligarchs than the EU. We've accepted fewer Ukrainian refugees than the EU. The only global aspect of our foreign policy is that our former Foreign Secretary liked to do his job from a beach in Greece. This morning, Cabinet Minister James Cleverly's excuse for the UK's inability to help the most helpless people in Europe was that the UK government hadn't had enough time to get its act together.
We've allowed 50 to be granted. That's not acceptable.
Well, you've got to remember that this situation has occurred only over the last couple of days.
1.5 million people have gone into Poland.
Only a few days, he says. It's not like his government's been warning about the imminent threat of a Russian invasion for the last few weeks. Hell, you could even have tuned into LBC last month and you would have heard all about it.
If the refugee crisis was to happen, if people could leave Ukraine, whether or not we'd be accepting of them, I think it's highly unlikely.
Do you think anybody in the rest of Europe, let alone in this country, has given any thought to this whatsoever?
No.
See, that's quite depressing, isn't it? Because whenever there's a war, wherever it is in the world, there are always refugees.
The UK has issued 50 visas. The Huguenots, the Kindertransport, these are proud moments in our national story, and history will be the judge of modern Britain.